Hey everyone, and welcome back to AnzenGuard. You know us, your go-to podcast for online security and privacy. I'm Michael Reynolds.
And I'm Laura Wilson.
And today we're diving deep.
It's deep.
Into a topic that just might make you rethink your whole online security strategy.
Ooh, scary.
We're talking about VPN leaks.
VPN leaks.
So you think you're all safe and sound behind your VPN, browsing anonymously.
Right.
But what if I told you that even the most popular VPNs out there can spring leaks and expose your data?
And your location.
Yeah, and location too.
Not good.
We're talking about risks like your ISP snooping on everything you do online.
Yeah, that's not good.
Streaming services blocking you because they can see your real location.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
Yeah, and even websites seeing your physical location.
Websites.
Yeah, like the websites you visit can pinpoint you.
Wow.
And here's the thing. Research shows that even some big-name VPNs,
The ones we all know.
yeah, the ones millions of people trust every day,
Uh-oh.
they've been found to have leaks.
That's a bit alarming.
It is alarming.
So you sign up thinking you're getting this ironclad shield.
Right. Total protection.
But in reality, there are all these different kinds of leaks that can totally compromise your privacy.
Okay, so let's break this down.
Yeah.
First of all, what exactly is a VPN leak?
Right.
And why should we care?
Good question.
All right. I mean, some people might think, so what if my ISP knows I'm watching cat videos all day?
Well, your pat video obsession
Uh-huh.
might be a secret you want to keep.
Definitely.
But VPN leaks go way beyond that.
Okay.
Think of a VPN like a secure tunnel
Okay.
that encrypts all your internet traffic.
So it's all hidden.
Exactly.
And it masks your IP address.
Right. So it looks like you're browsing from somewhere else completely.
But when there's a leak,
Uh-oh.
it's like there's a hole in that tunnel.
A hole?
Yeah, letting little bits of your real data slip out.
Oh, no.
So it's not just about hiding the websites you visit.
Right.
It's about your actual identity
And your location.
being exposed.
That's way more serious than someone knowing you like cat videos.
Way more serious.
Imagine trying to access a website that's blocked in your country.
Right.
You turn on your VPN thinking you're good to go.
And then what?
Well, if your real IP address leaks out,
Uh-oh.
the website can still see where you're really connecting from.
And block you.
Exactly.
Or worse.
What's worse?
Imagine if someone could get your banking information
Oh, no.
or other really sensitive data.
Because your VPN was leaking.
Exactly.
Oh, that is scary.
It's terrifying.
And you know, Michael, from the research, we've been looking at even premium VPNs
The ones you pay for,
can have these leaks.
especially when you're switching between servers.
Right.
It's unsettling to think that even when you pay, you might not be getting the level of protection you expect.
That's why it's so important to understand the different types of leaks
Yeah.
and how to protect yourself.
It's not just about picking a VPN.
Right.
It's about choosing wisely.
And making sure you're using it correctly.
Okay, let's dive into the different types of leaks.
Okay.
Starting with the most common one,
The big one.
IP address leaks.
So for our listeners who might not be super techie,
Right.
can you explain what an IP address even is?
What it is and why it matters if it leaks.
Okay, think of your IP address like your home address online.
Okay, like a digital address.
Yeah, it's a unique identifier that tells websites and online services where you're connecting from.
So when you use a VPN,
Yeah,
it's supposed to mask your real IP address
right.
with one from its own servers.
Making it look like you're in a totally different location.
So you could be anywhere.
But if there's a leak,
Oh.
your real IP address gets exposed.
And your VPN is useless.
Basically, yeah.
So it's like trying to wear a disguise, but you forget to cover your face.
Uh-huh, pretty much.
And there's more.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just one type of IP address.
No.
We've got IPv4
The old system,
and IPv6,
the newer one.
IPv4 and IPv6.
I remember seeing those in my router
Me
setting.
too.
But I never really understood what they were.
What's the difference?
Well, IPv4 is like the old phone book
Okay.
with a limited number of entries.
Got it.
And IPv6 is like the massive new phone book.
With tons of space.
Virtually unlimited space for new addresses.
And here's the thing.
What's that?
IPv6 leaks are more common,
Oh, no.
especially with those free VPNs.
Really?
Yeah,
Free VPNs are starting to sound like a bad idea.
maybe.
That's a big red flag.
Huge red flag.
And speaking of red flags, I read a study that found 15% of free Android VPNs
15%.
had IPv6 leaks.
That's a lot.
It really highlights why free isn't always the best option when it comes to VPNs.
You might be sacrificing your privacy without even knowing it.
And that brings us to the kill switch feature.
Kill switch.
Yeah, lots of VPNs offer it.
Okay.
It's designed to cut off your internet connection.
Completely.
Yeah, if the VPN connection drops.
So it's like an emergency brake.
To prevent your real IP address from being exposed.
That sounds like a must-have. But here's the catch.
What's the catch?
Even some premium VPNs with fancy kill switches
have failed tests?
Specifically when switching between servers.
So even with the kill switch, there's still a chance of a leak.
That is unsettling.
It is, but don't worry.
Okay.
We'll talk about solutions later on.
For now, let's move on to another sneaky type of leak.
What's that?
DNS leaks.
DNS leaks.
I vaguely remember something about DNS being like the internet's phone book.
That's a good way to put it.
Can you explain that in a way that anyone can understand?
Even someone who's never touched a router.
Yeah.
Sure, imagine you want to visit a website, let's say cutecatvideos.com.
Of course.
You type it into your browser.
Right.
But your computer has no idea where to find that website.
So what happens?
It sends a request to a DNS server.
Okay.
Which is basically a giant phone book for the internet.
I see.
The DNS server looks up the IP address associated with cutecatvideos.com and tells your browser where to go.
So DNS is like a middleman.
Yeah, you could say that.
Translating website names into IP addresses.
But where does the leak come in?
Yeah, where's the problem?
Well, when you're using a VPN, your DNS requests should be routed through the VPN's encrypted tunnel.
Okay.
Keeping your browsing activity nice and private.
But if there's a DNS leak, your ISP can see which websites you're visiting.
Even if the content itself is encrypted.
So even if I think I'm browsing privately, my ISP could be compiling this list of every website I visit.
That's creepy.
It's super creepy.
And here's something that might surprise you.
What's that?
Some VPNs, even popular ones,
really
actually default to using public DNS servers.
Yeah.
Like Google's.
Wow.
Now, it's not technically a leak.
Okay.
But it does make you wonder who you're comfortable sharing your browsing data with.
That's a good point.
And you know, Michael, DNS leaks aren't just about someone snooping on your browsing habits.
What else?
They can also open you up to a much more serious threat.
Which is DNS poisoning.
DNS poisoning.
That sounds bad. It does. What happens when someone gets DNS poisoned?
It's not quite the same as food poisoning,
Okay.
But it can be just as nasty.
Okay, listen.
Imagine trying to access your bank's website.
Okay.
But because of a DNS leak, your request gets hijacked.
Hijacked.
And redirected to a fake website.
A fake website?
That looks just like your bank site.
Oh, no.
You enter your login info thinking you're on the real site.
And then
your
information is stolen.
It's like someone tampered with the internet's phone book.
Sending you to the wrong address.
On purpose.
That is
terrifying.
DNS poisoning is a really serious threat.
So preventing DNS leaks is super important.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got IP address leaks.
Right.
And DNS leaks.
What else?
Were there any other ways our VPN can betray us?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh no, I'm getting paranoid.
There's one more common type of leak we need to talk about.
Okay.
WebRTC leaks.
WebRTC leaks.
WebRTC is a technology that allows for real-time communication in your browser.
Like video calls.
And file sharing.
I've used that for video conferencing before.
Me too. It's super convenient.
It is, but here's the problem. WebRTC can sometimes bypass your VPN.
Really?
And reveal your real IP address.
Even if I have the VPN turned on.
It's more of a browser issue than a VPN issue.
But the result is the same.
Your privacy is compromised.
So wait, even if I'm using a VPN and I have all the right settings?
Yeah.
My real IP address could still leak out.
It's possible.
Just because I'm using video chat?
It's a risk.
So what are we supposed to do?
Stop using video chat altogether.
That seems extreme.
There are ways to disable WebRTC in specific browsers.
Okay.
Firefox, for example, makes it pretty easy.
And there are browser extensions that can help manage WebRTC settings.
Okay, so at this point, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed.
I hear you.
We've got all these different kinds of leaks, IP address leaks, DNS leaks, and now WebRTC leaks.
Yeah.
It seems like our VPN could betray us at any moment.
What are we supposed to do?
Is there any hope for privacy?
Don't panic, Michael.
There are definitely steps we can take to fix these leaks and bolster our online privacy.
Okay.
And that's exactly what we're going to discuss in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll explore practical solutions, tips, and tools
to help you plug those leaks and regain control of your online security. Okay, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Me too.
So for our listeners, stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive,
where we'll arm you with the knowledge and tools
to combat those pesky VPN leaks and reclaim your digital privacy.
Seasoned expert. Welcome back to the AnzenGuard podcast.
We're picking up right where we left off, talking about all the ways your VPN might be leaking information.
We've covered IP address leaks, DNS leaks, and WebRTC leaks.
Right, but before we jump into solutions, there's another potential leak that we need to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
It often flies under the radar.
What's that?
HTML5 geolocation leaks.
Oh, that's a good one. Michael, HTML5 geolocation is a feature that allows websites to determine your location.
Wait, so even if my IP address is masked by my VPN, a website could still figure out where I am?
Yeah, using various methods like your device's GPS, your IP address, even nearby Wi-Fi networks.
That's like next-level tracking.
It's a problem if you're trying to maintain your privacy or access location-restricted content.
Okay, so how do we plug this leak? Is it as simple as turning off location services on my phone?
Well, it's a bit more nuanced than that.
Okay.
The easiest way is to disable HTML5 geolocation in your browser settings.
Okay.
Most browsers have an option to block websites from accessing your location.
Got it. So disable HTML5 geolocation in your browser setting.
You can also use browser extensions that give you more control over it.
Even better.
Yeah.
Anything else we should be aware of in terms of browser-related leaks?
Well, while we're talking about browsers, it's worth mentioning Flash Player.
Flash Player. Isn't that ancient history?
You'd think so.
I haven't seen that little spinning wheel of doom in years.
Some older websites still use it.
Really?
And even if you don't actively use Flash, having it enabled can create security risks. Like what?
Including potential IP leaks.
Seriously. That old thing can still cause problems.
Thankfully, most modern browsers have already disabled Flash Player by default.
Okay.
But if you're using an older browser, you can manually disable Flash in the settings.
Good to know. And to be extra safe.
Yeah.
You could use a browser that doesn't support Flash at all.
Like Brave or Firefox.
So disable or block Flash Player in your browser? Check. Anything else lurking in the depths of browser settings that we need to be wary of?
Well, we've talked a lot about IP addresses and how they can leak, but there's another aspect to them that's worth considering.
What's that?
Whether they're residential or data center IP addresses.
Residential versus data center IP addresses. What's the difference?
A residential IP address is usually assigned to a home internet connection,
okay,
while a data center IP address is assigned to a server in a data center.
I see.
And many VPNs use data center IP addresses.
And that's a problem.
It can be?
How so? Well, some websites and stream services are getting smarter at detecting when someone's connecting from a data center IP address.
So they know you're using a VPN.
Yeah. And it can lead to blocked access or those annoying KEPI-TCHA challenges.
The ones that make you prove you're not a robot.
Exactly. It's not a privacy leak in the traditional sense, but it can definitely impact your experience.
So if I'm trying to access a streaming service in another country, or maybe buy tickets to a concert that's sold out in my region, using a VPN with a data center IP address could backfire.
It could. They might flag your connection as suspicious and block you.
So if I want to avoid being flagged as a VPN user, I should look for a VPN that uses residential IP addresses.
That's one solution. Some VPN providers offer them as an add-on or as part of their premium plans.
Okay, good to know. But they're more expensive.
They can be, and they might not be available everywhere.
Right, so we've covered IP address leaks, DNS leaks, WebRTC leaks, HTML5 geolocation leaks, Flash Player, and now residential versus data center IP addresses.
That's a lot.
Is there anything else we need to be prepared for?
Well, if you're a torrent user, there's one more type of leak you need to be aware of.
Okay, I'm all ears. What is it?
Torrent IP leaks.
Torrent IP leaks. That sounds a bit niche.
It is, but I'm sure some of our listeners use torrents.
Definitely. Can you explain what that is?
Sure. When you download or upload files via torrent, your IP address is visible to other users in the torrent swarm.
So everyone can see it.
If you're using a VPN, your torrent traffic should be routed through the VPN's encrypted tunnel.
Keeping your IP address hidden.
Exactly. But if there's a leak, your real IP address can be exposed.
And your privacy is at risk.
It's basically an IP address leak specifically related to torrenting.
And this can happen even if my VPN is working fine for browsing and streaming.
It can.
Okay, so for our torrenting friends out there, what can they do to plug this leak and keep their activity private?
A few things. First, make sure your VPN is configured correctly for torrenting.
Okay.
Some VPNs have specific settings or dedicated servers for P2P traffic.
So check your settings.
You can also use a torrent client that has built-in VPN support.
That's a good idea.
And keep an eye on your torrent client settings.
What should we be looking for?
Make sure it's not using any proxies or other settings that could bypass your VPN connection.
Got it. So double check everything.
And as always, test your VPN connection regularly.
With a torrent IP leak test website.
Right. There are lots of free tools online that can help you with that.
Testing is key. We'll talk more about testing in a bit, but before we move on to solutions, I just want to recap what we've covered.
Okay.
We've talked about all the different ways a VPN can leak.
From IP addresses and DNS requests to WebRTC data and even your location.
It's a lot to take in, and it can feel a bit overwhelming, especially if you're new to VPNs.
But knowledge is power. The more you understand about VPN leaks, the better prepared you'll be to protect your privacy.
Exactly. And now that we understand the problem, let's move on to solutions.
In the next part of our deep dive,
We'll walk you through practical steps you can take to fix VPN leaks and make sure your online activities stay private and secure. Welcome back to AnzenGuard. We've been exploring the murky depths of VPN leaks.
all the ways your online privacy could be at risk.
But don't worry, it's not all bad news.
No,
We're going to talk about solutions.
Because once you know the problem, you can fix it.
Exactly. So Laura, let's get practical. What can our listeners do to minimize the risk of VPN leaks?
Well, the first thing is to choose your VPN provider carefully.
Okay, so not just the first free VPN you come across.
Right, don't be tempted by free VPNs.
They might not be as secure.
Look for providers with a solid reputation for security and privacy.
So do your research.
Exactly. Check reviews from trusted sources and see what features they offer to prevent leaks.
Like a kill switch.
Yeah, a kill switch is essential.
And DNS leak protection.
Right, and WebRTC leak protection too.
So make sure your VPN has those features.
And once you've chosen a VPN,
Yeah,
keep it updated.
that's important.
VPN providers regularly release updates with security patches and bug fixes.
So you always want to be running the latest version.
It's like updating your phone software. You want the best protection.
Okay, so choose a good VPN, keep it updated.
And if you're ever unsure about something, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Reach out to your VPN provider's support team.
Exactly. They can help you figure things out.
Okay, so those are the basics. But what about for those who are a bit more tech savvy?
Yeah,
Are there any manual tweaks they can make to prevent leaks?
definitely. We talked before about changing your DNS settings.
Right.
If your VPN doesn't have its own DNS servers, or if you prefer to use a different provider, you can switch to a public DNS server.
Like Google Public DNS.
Yeah, or Cloudflare DNS.
Because using your ISP's default DNS servers is like broadcasting your browsing history to the world.
A public DNS server adds a layer of privacy.
And we also discuss disabling WebRTC in your browser.
Most browsers have settings for that.
It can be a little technical, but it's worth it.
It is.
And for those who are really worried about IP leaks,
Yeah,
they could disable IPv6 on their device.
that's an extra layer of protection.
Okay, so we've got configuring DNS settings, disabling WebRTC, and maybe even disabling IPv6.
Those are some powerful tools.
But how can we be sure that all of these efforts are working?
You need to test your connection.
Okay,
There are free online tools that can check for leaks.
like what?
Websites like dnsleaktest.com, euppleak.net, and browserleaks.com.
They can help you find any vulnerabilities.
And if you do find a leak, don't freak out.
Right.
Just try to figure out where it's coming from.
Often it's an easy fix.
We've covered a lot today.
We have from the nitty-gritty details of VPN leaks
To practical solutions.
and testing tools.
It's a lot of information, but it's important.
I hope our listeners feel like they can take control of their online privacy.
Me too. Online privacy is an ongoing process.
You have to stay informed and proactive.
And choose your tools carefully.
Well said, Laura. A huge thank you for sharing your expertise with us today.
It was my pleasure.
And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into VPN leaks.
We hope you learned a lot
Don't forget to subscribe to AnzenGuard for more episodes.
on online security and privacy.
And leave us a rating and review if you enjoyed the show.
We appreciate your feedback.
Until next time, stay safe and informed out there.
In the digital world.
This is Michael Reynolds,
And Laura Wilson.
signing off from AnzenGuard.